Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Go to, I was about to say, go to Yahshar 88:63. But I can't. Go to Yehoshua 10:12. I'll go to Yahshar 88:63. Want to take notes? You go to Yehoshua 10:12 to refresh your memory. And I'll go to Yahshar 88:63. So the sun stood still and the moon stopped. Joshua 10:13. Till the nation avenged itself upon their enemies. Is this not written in the book of? Well, Rabbi, I don't believe that teaching from extra biblical sources. Well, pardon me. Joshua quotes it, David quotes it, John the Revelator quotes it, and Rav Shaul quotes it in 2 Timothy 3:8. We'll get that in a second. That's about 8 o'clock, so we'll get there at sundown.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Now it says here, it is written in the book of Tehillah. It says it is written in the book of Yahshar. Well, let me read you in the book of Yahshar where it is written. Amen. Now, here it says, ready? And Yehoshua said in the sight of all the people, Sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon. Moon, in the valley of Ahalon, until the nation shall have revenged itself upon its enemies. And the sun stood still in the midst of the heavens, and it stood still for 36 moments. Wow. 36 seconds or 36 minutes? I don't know, it says moments. I don't know. It says 36 moments. Could be seconds, could be minutes, could be hours. Right? This is fabulous stuff. And the moon also stood still and hastened not to go down a whole day. So it could be 36 hours. And there was no day like that before it or after it that Yahweh hearkened to the voice of man for Yahweh, for Israel. This confirms the exact account in Joshua. Is there a contradiction? No. There's an elaboration, isn't there? Hello? There's an elaboration. There's no contradiction. Yahshar 88:63. Yahshar 88:63 and 64. This is fabulous stuff. Now again, let's go back to 2 Shmuel. The mysterious book of Yahshar. The mysterious book of Yahshar. Give me a page, please. 2 Shmuel 1:18. 2 Shmuel. Did you learn something so far? We're not done. Check this out. 2 Shmuel 1:18. David, in his lamentation over Shaul and Yehonatan, ordered the bow. Now, what on earth does that mean? To be taught to the children of Judah. Now, in a remez, like Sophania said, the bow could be if Ephraimites, the arrows, and the bow is Yehuda, right? So teaching the bow and arrows is teaching the two houses. That's a good remez, right? I will bend the bow of Judah and fill it with Ephraim. Hello? We read that? So that's a two-house scripture. That's remez. But let's take this in the Peshat. David ordered the bow to be taught. What on earth is that? Look at me. David ordered the bow to be taught. If you don't find this message fascinating, trust me, when I preach next week on crystals and pet rocks, you'll be sleeping. I mean, if I was there, and I wasn't here, but I was there, but I'm really here, but I couldn't be there if I was here, but if I was not here and I was there, I'd be on the edge of my seat. Honestly, I would. Okay, so he told the children of Yehuda to be taught the bow, or moreover, to, in a different translation, listen, use the bow. use the bow. One translation says to order the Judah how to use the bow, and another translation says to teach Judah how to what? Use the bow. Where is David getting this from? The bow. Well, it's a definite article. The bow. Definite article. The, not a bow. The bow. Definite article. David is referring to the dying words of Jacob, okay, in Egypt. Yaakov is referring to the dying words, David, Melech David, is referring to the dying words of Yaakov in Mitzrayim. Why is it written in the book of Yahshar? Because the book of Yahshar is the book of the righteous walk and halacha of our fathers Israel, and Jacob was such a righteous man. Hello? So Jacob's deeds are recorded in the book of... What books do the book of Yahshar cover? What biblical books? Bereshit and Shemot. It's talking about Yaakov. Let me read this to you. Yahshar 56:9. The book of Yahshar, chapter 56, verse 9. Jacob says to Judah. Jacob says to Judah, only teach your sons the use of the bow and all weapons of war, in order that they may fight their battles of their brother who will rule over his enemies. Who's the brother? Judah, Moshiach, who will rule over all his enemies. So the bow is Yaakov teaching his sons to learn how to use the bow so that Judah can rule over his enemies. Are you getting this? So David says the following. Hey, let the bow be taught or used by the children of Judah, just like Jacob said. Let Israelites know how to use the bow. Hello? Meaning what? Jonathan and Saul, in context, 2 Shmuel 1:18, Jonathan and Saul, Ted, are dead. And there's a battle going to wage between Bet Shaul and Bet David. And in the battle between the Bet David, the anointed king, and Bet Shaul, the dethroned king or the rejected king, there's going to be a battle. And David says, now is the time to put Jacob's warning and admonition into action by teaching the house of David, i.e. the house of Judah, how to use the bow in their battles against the house of Shaul. This was a prophecy fulfilled from the book of Yahshar. How did David know the book of Yahshar? He must have studied it. How many have heard of the Apostle Paul? Or as they know in Espanol, el apóstol Pablo. Apostolito. I better get in trouble with my Spanish. One time I said traffic. I was talking about traffic, car traffic. Someone told me I was dealing narcotics in the shul. I was teaching narcotic distribution. Traffica. So I gotta be careful with what I'm saying. But anyway, so man, how many of us didn't know that Yaakov prophesied to the sons of Israel that they better learn how to use the bow, because Judah is ordained to rule over his enemies, i.e. Moshiach. Come on. And David goes, Moshiach may not be here, but this is a good time to use the bow against the Bet Shaul. Yeah. How many have ever heard of the Jewish historian Josephus? Flavius. Josephus Flavius. Consider how Josephus considered and described the book of Yahshar. Listen. Quote. This is what Josephus said. about this book of Yahshar. By this book, we are to be understood certain records kept in some safe place on purpose, giving an account of what happened among the Hebrews from year to year, called Yahshar, or upright, on account of the fidelity of the annals or the fathers. Josephus says this record, this book called Yahshar, is to keep an account of the fidelity of the fathers. What is fidelity?
Faithfulness. Faithfulness.
Thank you. Faithfulness. Josephus said this book is kept in a safe place. Well, apparently it hasn't been kept in a very safe place because it disappeared. But at one time it was kept in a safe place. Does this make sense?
Yeah, man.
How many have ever heard the Enoch situation? Not story, because there are no stories in Scripture. Have you ever heard the account of Enoch? Now it's interesting. Christianity goes, he was raptured to the heavens.
Rapturo.
Messianic Judaism says, no, it doesn't say that. Messianic Judaism says that Yahweh took Enoch, could have taken him to another mountain or to a cave. Right? There's no proof that Enoch flew to heaven. But wait a second. What does Scripture say about Enoch? Nothing. Very little, almost nothing. I mean, I can't even find it now if I had to, but I feel pressure from you guys. Because I don't have it in my notes. But I feel pressure to find it. Let's try Bereshis. Chapter 5. Let's try Bereshis. Oop, I got it. Bereshis chapter 5, verse 23. All the days of Enoch, were 365 years. In Hanok had halacha with Elohim, and he was no more. Elohim took him. Bye-bye, adios. That's all it says. He was no more. Elohim took him. Is that what it says? Isn't that what Christianity teaches? Enoch walked so closely with Yahweh that one day he was no more. Now what does that mean? No more. He went to Walgreens, Walmart. He fell into the Jordan River. What do you mean no more? What on earth does that mean? Well, brother, my pastor told me that he went to heaven. I know, but forget about that. Stick to the Bible. What does that mean? We don't know what that means, do we? Let's be honest. We don't have to know everything. We don't know what that means. Because he was no more. Elohim took him. That means he loved him so much, he died, and Elohim took his soul to be with him. It could mean that too. Yahweh ended his life prematurely, and he took him, and he was no more, and they looked for him. But slow down. Let's go to the book of Yahshar, chapter 3. Capítulo 3. Now, 3. Chapter 3. This is a long story, but I'm going to try to give you the short version. I believe close to 90.
What verse?
90 chapters.
What verse?
The book of Yahshar, chapter 3. I'm going to make it very short, okay, because I want to finish this today. Enoch lived 65 years. He began Metushelach, which means when he dies, it will come, the flood. Met Tushelach, met Yahweh Shalach. And Enoch walked with Elohim after having been begotten by Metushelach and served Yahweh and despised the evil ways of men. Now listen carefully. The soul of Enoch was wrapped up in the instruction of Yahweh. So number one, we're going to find out the reason Yahweh took him, wherever Yahweh took him, was because he was Torah teaching. He was wrapped up in the Torah, in the instruction of Yahweh. Oh no, he was just one of those pre-type rapturists. It was a type of the pre-tribulation rapture. Slow down, honey. It was a type of those who live for Torah. That's what it was.
That's right.
It says in the book of Yahshar, chapter 3, that he was wrapped. Yahweh saw him as clothed. Put on Yeshua. Yahweh says, put on Yeshua and make no provision for the lust of the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof. He was wrapped in the Torah. And Yahweh found that very attractive. He was wrapped in the Torah. Watch this. Enoch. We're talking about Hanok. In knowledge and understanding, Da'at and Binah, he wisely retired from the sons of men and secreted himself from them for many days. Didn't I always tell you week after week, don't associate with those who cause trouble, rather retire from those people and secrete yourself? What does it mean to secrete yourself? Separate yourself. One of the things Yahweh found appealing about Hanok or Enoch was that he wrapped himself in the Torah, but he was able to do that because he retired from the presence of men. That's why Yeshua retired from the presence of men. He went up onto a mountain to be alone, to be with the Father, to seek the Father, to walk with the Father. He came apart from his Talmidim in order to clothe himself with his Father's Torah.
That's what we did.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. And it was at the expiration of many years, while Enoch or Hanok was serving Yahweh, praying before him in his house, that an angel or Malach Yahweh called to him from heaven and said, Hineni. The Malach said, rise, go forth from your house, from the place where you hide yourself, appear to the sons of men, in order that you may teach them the way in which they should go, and the work they should accomplish to enter the ways of Yahweh. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. I'm going to skip because there's a lot to cover here. At that time he assembled the sons of men, and he acquainted them with the Torah of Yahweh. The only time he would gather men and be in the presence of other men and women is to gather them and instruct them in the Torah. That's the word here in Yahshar 3 and 5. He would acquaint them with the Torah of Yahweh. You want to know why Hanok was taken by Yahweh? Because he was a Yahshar. Of course, you find details about him in the book of Yahshar. He was the ultimate Yahshar.
Come on, man.
Well, brother, I'm a little bit confused about that Enoch stuff. Is that a type of the pre, mid, or post-tribulation rapture? Read my lips, Bubba. None of the above. He clothed himself in Torah, which made him very attractive to Yahweh. And he only hung out with the sons of Adam when it was time to gather them for yeshiva.
That's right.
Whoa, baby. Now, this is in the book of
Yahshar.
Yahshar. Mentioned how many times in Scripture?
5.
And all the sons of men, listen to this, assembled to him, was assembled, Keilah. All the sons of men assembled to him, for all who desired this thing went, what's this thing? Torah, went to Enoch, and Enoch reigned over the sons of men. When you follow Torah, he will make you a king. When you count the Omer for the first time in your life, he'll make you the head and not the tail. And they came and bowed to him, and they heard his word. And the Ruach, see? When you clothe yourself in Torah and you acquaint others with his Torah, you get the Ruach HaKodesh. And we were taught, well, brother, thank God for Pentecost. Because without Pentecost, we just wouldn't have the ghost. Pardon me, honey. Enoch, Hanok, kept Torah and was given the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh.
Hallelujah.
Kifa, Simon Peter said, Yahweh will give the Ruach HaKodesh to those who obey him. Not just who call on him, but who obey him.
Oh, hallelujah.
People say, how can someone be a believer and live a life that is contrary to the word of Yahweh?
Yeah.
Because they're not obeying him. You want the Holy Spirit? Obey him.
Yeah.
Well, brother, I've been saved for 199 years. I just have a hard time living for the law, for Yahweh. I can't obey him. I know what the word says. I know what I should be doing, but I'm not doing it. And I could be doing it, but I would be doing it, but I should be doing it. And I'm not doing it. Read my lips, but you don't have the Ruach HaKodesh.
That's right.
Because the Ruach HaKodesh comes to those who first obey him. Then the church says, no, come up, get the Ruach HaKodesh, and then obey him. Yahweh says, no, first you obey me, and then I'll give you the Ruach HaKodesh. Who's right, Yahweh or the coach?
Yahweh.
First confess, and then you'll get the Ruach HaKodesh. Yahweh says, no, first confess and obey, and then you'll have the Ruach HaKodesh. So there's your answer. How can someone profess the Bible and not live the Bible because they don't have the Ruach HaKodesh? The Ruach HaKodesh is a byproduct of a life of Yahshar. Of course, this book disappeared because all these folks were Torah keepers. See, in the church, they tell you, Enoch, glory. Well, Job, glory. Abraham, glory. Yitzchak, glory, train, glory, gravy, glory, train. You know why the book of Yahshar has disappeared? Because all these folks were honored by Yahweh and they were all Torah keepers. What a mystery. The mysterious book of Yahshar.
Hallelujah.
Mysterious rabbi.
What's mysterious? Why can't we find this book that's mentioned 4 times in both covenants? Well, it may have something to do that we're the false idea that we're not under the law. Well, hey, if we're not under the law, and we found out that Enoch was under the law, and Abraham was under the law, and Isaac and Yaakov were under the law, which made them righteous and recipients of the Ruach HaKodesh, they don't want us being like those legalistic Jews. So somehow we just can't find the book of Yahshar. Has anyone seen? Does anyone have a copy?
Has anybody here seen the book?
My old book of Yahshar. Can't seem to find it. Where is it? Is it really part of the Bible, brother? Is it one of those lost books of the Bible? Instead of worrying about if it's one of the lost books, how about worrying about if some lost folks hid it from us because they were lost?
Lost in space.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. I'm reading from book of Yahshar 3 and 8. And the Ruach of Elohim was upon Chanok, and he taught all his men the wisdom of Elohim and his ways. And the sons of men served Yahweh all the days of Chanok, Enoch. They came to hear his wisdom. All the kings of the sons of men, both the first and the last, together with princes and judges, came to Enoch. When they heard of his wisdom, they bowed to him. They required of Enoch, listen, they required from Enoch to reign over them. He didn't force himself upon them. They wanted him to be their king, the king over the whole earth. Baruch Hashem, because he clothed himself with Torah. And the only times he hung out with other people was not to share a schnapps or watch television. The only time he hung out with people was to acquaint them with Torah. That was why he was translated. That's why Enoch was translated. Let's continue. And so Enoch taught them wisdom, knowledge, wisdom, binah, knowledge, da'at, and the halachot of Yahweh. He made shalom among them, and shalom was throughout the earth. Listen, shalom was throughout the earth during the life of Enoch.
Wow.
The opposite of the flood. In the days before the flood, there was only wicked and evil. In the days of Enoch, there was only shalom because this man followed Torah, and Yahweh gave him the ruach to be a melech over melachim. Isn't it nice to know a little bit about Enoch? The only way we can find out about Enoch is from the book of Yahshar. Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Peace was throughout the earth during the life of Enoch.
Shalom.
And Enoch reigned over the sons of men 243 years. He did mishpat and tzedakah, righteousness, with all his people, and he led them in the ways of Yahweh. I'm going to go further because we don't have the time. But you need to get the book of Yahshar on your own. I'll tell you in a second. Let's jump down. And it was in the year, this is so cool. Listen, it was in the year of Adam. Who was Adam? Adam. It was in the year of Adam's death, which was 243rd year into the reign of King Enoch. I mean, this is like a completely different perspective.
Yes.
King Enoch. We don't think of Enoch as a king.
Melech, Enoch.
He was Melech al Kol Haaretz. He was king over the whole earth.
Wow.
And Adam, you're not listening, Adam was his subject. Adam was under the authority of Enoch. Adam, yeah, that Adam. Not Adam Ant. Adam Garden. Watch this. Ready? Yahshar 3:17. In the year of Adam's death, which was the 243rd year of the reign of Enoch, at that time Enoch resolved again to separate himself from the sons of men. There's only one way to get holiness, brother. Separate the clean from the unclean. Sorry, I know it hurts. That's the only way to get holiness.
Come out.
And to secrete himself, listen, as at the first time, in order to serve Yahweh. And Enoch did so, but did not entirely secrete himself from them, but kept away from the sons of men 3 days, then went to them 1 day. I'm going to have to go fast now. Is anyone enjoying? And during listen to this. During the 3 days he was in his chamber, he prayed and praised Yahweh his Elohim. And the day on which he went and appeared to his subjects, he taught them the ways or Torah of Yahweh. And they all asked him about Yahweh, and he told them. He did this manner or custom for many years, and he afterward concealed himself for 6 days. In other words, first he concealed himself for 2 days, then he concealed himself for 3 days, then he would conceal himself for 6 days. In other words, as Yahweh was more attractive to him, mankind became less attractive. He was getting closer and closer and closer to Yahweh's home, which is heaven. Watch this. And then he appeared to his people 1 day in 7. First he appeared 1 day in 3, then 1 day in 6, and then 1 day in 7. After that, you talk about progressive holiness or progressive sanctification. After that, he appeared once a month. Is this neat or what? Once a month. He was getting closer. The closer he get to Yahweh, he had less frequent public appearances. This is Enoch. This is the Enoch of Genesis 5. This is why Yahweh took him. Watch. And then once a year, he would come out among the sons of men once a year. Until all the kings, princes, and sons of men sought for him, desired again to see the face of Enoch, to hear his word, but they could not. As all the sons of men were greatly afraid of Enoch, they feared to approach him on account of the Elohim-like awe that was seated upon his countenance. Like Stephen. Remember Stephen? In Maaseh Shlichim 7. Therefore no man could look at him, fearing he might be punished and die. Well, brother, Moses was the first one whose face had the kavod of Yahweh and shined with his countenance. No, Enoch had that same face, that same panim as Moshe, when the children of Israel couldn't look lest they died from the kavod. And Moshe had to put a veil, a covering, on his face. Enoch had the same face, and so did Stephen. Yahweh never changes. The reason the members of the Sanhedrin had to run to the bathroom is because they saw the glory of Yahweh on the face of Stephan.
Yeah.
But before it was on his face, it was on Enoch's face.
Yeah.
And Moshe's face. And it'll be on your face if we can grow in Yeshua and become less concerned with what people think and more concerned with what Yahweh and Yeshua think. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Now watch this. And all the kings and princes resolved to assemble the sons of men and come to Enoch, thinking they might all speak to him at a time that he should come forth among them, and they did so. And the day came when Enoch went forth, and they all assembled and came to him. And Enoch spoke the words of Yahweh, teaching them wisdom and knowledge. They bowed down before him and said, may the king live, may the king live. He was king, Enoch was king, and in his days there was only shalom in all the earth.
Hello.
And sometime after, when the kings and princes and the sons of men were speaking to Enoch, listen, Enoch was teaching them the ways of Yahweh. Behold, an angel of Yahweh came to Enoch from heaven and wished to bring him up to heaven to make him reign there over the sons of Elohim, just as he had reigned over the sons of men on earth. I don't think that needs an explanation. Yahweh wanted to take Enoch to heaven to do over the angels and have dominion and authority over the Melachim as he had over Bnei Adam, the sons of Adam. Now you know why Yahweh took him. He took him to reign over the angels. The book of Yahshar. When at that time Enoch heard this, he went and assembled all the inhabitants of the earth and taught them wisdom and knowledge and gave them divine instruction. What's the Hebrew word for instruction? Divine, not Torah Shebe'al Peh, divine Torah. So Yahweh, Enoch was destined to rule over the angels like he had over the children of men. Why? Because he taught them not instructions, but divine Torah.
Divine Torah.
He said to them, listen, I have been required to ascend into heaven. I therefore do not know the day of my departure. Now therefore I will teach you wisdom and knowledge, and will give you Torah before I leave you. It's right here. 325. Book of Yahshar, 325. I will give you Torah before I leave. What was the last thing Enoch did before he left this earth? He assembled all his subjects and gave them Torah. Now you know why the book is missing? Do you smell a Constantinian skunk?
Yes.
I smell it.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Now therefore I will teach you wisdom and knowledge and will give you Torah before I leave you. How to act upon the earth whereby you may live. And he did so. And he taught them wisdom and knowledge and gave them instruction, Torah. And he reproved them. And he placed before them chukim and mishpatim, statutes and judgments. To do. I thought we believe. Only believe. Do. You want the Holy Ghost? Start doing the Torah. And then pretty soon the Comforter will show up right in your home. He'll come right alongside of you, just like Yeshua said he would. Watch this. Before he left, he placed among them statutes and judgments to do upon the earth. He made shalom amongst them, taught them everlasting life. You see, this is why the book is missing, Abraham. The Christian church teaches, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should have everlasting life. Pardon me, Mr. Pastor or Mrs. Pastorette. Enoch taught everlasting life with Torah. What's your problem? They tell us that Yahweh sent Yeshua to teach us everlasting life. Pardon me, Enoch was teaching the way of everlasting life. That's why this book is missing. Are you with me? That's why this book is missing. Not only was Enoch doing Torah and teaching Torah, he was teaching